The stars had always fascinated Captain Aiden Cross. He had spent most of his life navigating the endless stretches of space, charting unknown systems, and testing the limits of human endurance. But nothing in all his years of exploration could have prepared him for what lay ahead. His ship, the Odyssey, had been on a routine mission to survey the uncharted planet Zytheria, a world on the outer rim of the galaxy. Official reports described it as a planet of floating crystal cities and bioluminescent forests, glowing with colors no human had ever seen. But reports did not prepare anyone for the dangers hidden within its beauty. The mission had been simple: gather atmospheric data, analyze potential resources, and report back to the Interstellar Council. But as Aiden maneuvered the ship through the upper atmosphere, a sudden electrical storm tore across the sky. Lightning struck the ship's hull, systems failed one by one, and the Odyssey began a rapid, uncontrolled descent. Aiden gripped the control panel, fighting to stabilize the craft. Sparks flew, alarms screamed, and the world outside became a blur of light and shadow. The storm had other plans. The ship crashed into the alien forest, tearing through glowing trees and sending clouds of luminous spores into the air. Pain shot through Aiden's leg as the cockpit door jammed, pinning him inside. Hours, or maybe minutes, passed. The storm receded, leaving behind an eerie, glowing calm. Aiden forced himself upright, using the twisted metal of the cockpit to pull himself free. His vision blurred. Every step was agony, but he knew he had to move. Survival came first. The forest was unlike anything he had ever seen. Giant fungi glowed softly in shades of blue and green. Trees bent in impossible angles, their leaves pulsing like living lanterns. Strange creatures scuttled in the shadows, their eyes reflecting light in unearthly patterns. The air was thick, heavy with the scent of minerals and something sweet, almost intoxicating. Aiden stumbled forward, clutching his side. Each breath was a battle. He had no supplies beyond what he carried in his survival pack, and no clear idea of what dangers lurked ahead. Every instinct in his human mind screamed caution, but curiosity pushed him onward. Then he heard it. A voice. Lilting, musical, but filled with amusement. "Well, well," it said. "You've made it this far. Impressive for a human." Aiden froze, scanning the forest. He could see no one, yet the voice seemed to come from all directions. "Who's there?" he demanded, trying to hide the tremor in his voice. A figure emerged from the glowing mist. She moved with grace that seemed almost unreal. Her skin shimmered faintly, a pearlescent hue, and her eyes glowed like twin moons. She wore flowing robes of colors that shifted in the light, and a small, delicate crown rested on her head. Aiden's heart skipped. She was humanoid, yes, but every feature was refined, elegant, and alien. There was no mistaking her status. She was royalty. Alien royalty. "I am Princess Liara," she said, her lips curving into a playful smile. "And you, human, are far from home." Aiden struggled to find words. He wanted to explain, to demand help, but the words caught in his throat. There was something about her, something dangerous yet fascinating that made him wary. "You have survived the crash," she continued, taking a few steps closer. "Most who arrive here do not live past the first hour. You are stronger than you look." Her laughter tinkled through the forest, light and cruel at the same time. Aiden's survival instincts flared. He straightened, trying to mask his fear with confidence. "I always survive," he said. Not entirely true, but the lie had weight. He had survived wars, storms, and battles across the galaxy. But this was different. Liara tilted her head, eyes glinting with curiosity. "Do you? We shall see. Tonight, if you live through the night, I will consider you worthy. If not, well, you will simply become another story in the forest." Aiden swallowed. Her words were more than a challenge, they were a test. But he had no choice. He nodded despite the pain in his leg. "Then I'll survive," he said more firmly than he felt. The princess clapped her hands once, and the air seemed to shimmer. A path appeared, glowing faintly beneath the forest canopy, winding through bioluminescent flora and shadowed dangers. "Follow," she said, stepping back into the mist. "I will watch." Aiden limped forward, using the path to guide him. Every sense was alert. The forest was alive, and it seemed to watch him as much as he watched it. Strange sounds echoed, chirps, clicks, and the low growls of creatures hidden among the glowing underbrush. He could feel eyes on him, following, studying. Hours passed. Or maybe it was minutes. Time felt different here. stretched and twisted by the alien environment. Aiden's injuries slowed him, each step a test of endurance. He scavenged materials from the forest, twisting vines into a splint for his leg, gathering edible plants with bright, pulsing fruit to stave off hunger, and then the first test arrived. A creature, massive and sleek, emerged from the shadows. Its body glimmered with scales like liquid silver, eyes glowing red. It hissed, a sound that resonated through the forest floor. Aiden froze. Any human would have panicked, but he was no ordinary human. He thought quickly, scanning the ground. There, a fallen branch, jagged and strong. He threw it with precision, distracting the beast just enough to slip past. The creature lunged, but Aiden rolled, barely avoiding its claws. His heart pounded, but he did not stop. He had to keep moving. Survival was the only option. Princess Liara watched from a distance, hidden in the mist. She laughed softly, a sound that made the hairs on Aiden's neck stand on end. There was admiration in her eyes, tempered with amusement. By nightfall, Aiden found a small clearing near a shimmering lake. Exhausted, he collapsed beside it, tending to his wounds. The forest quieted, almost as if it respected his determination. The moonlight glow from the alien flora reflected in his eyes, making him look almost ethereal himself. Impressive, a voice said from the edge of the clearing. Liara stepped forward, closer this time. Most humans would have given up long before now. Most would have screamed or run or been eaten. Aiden looked at her, breathing hard. "I told you. I survived," she laughed again, a warm, lilting sound. "Yes, you do. But the night is not over yet. Many trials remain, and only if you endure them will you see the sunrise." Aiden nodded, knowing this was only the beginning. He had faced storms, predators, and the unknown, and he had survived. But the night ahead promised more danger, more tests, and yet he felt a spark of excitement. A spark humans had long been told was fragile, yet here it shone brighter than any alien luminescence around him. Princess Liara's eyes softened slightly, just a fraction. She turned and disappeared into the glowing mist, leaving Aiden alone, but not afraid. He had come this far. He would survive the night. He would prove that humans were capable of more than the galaxy ever expected. As darkness fell fully over the forest, the glowing flora and strange creatures around him became shadows of threat. But Aiden, with his human resolve, grit, and unyielding spirit, pressed on. One way or another, he would make it through. And somewhere, hidden in the mist, Princess Liara laughed, an amused, intrigued sound that promised the night ahead would be more than just survival. It would be a test of courage, wits, and the very essence of what it meant to be human. For Aiden Cross, the night had just begun. The forest seemed alive in a way that made every step dangerous. Shadows shifted unnaturally, and the glowing flora cast strange shapes that played tricks on the mind. Captain Aiden Cross pressed on, leaning heavily on the splint he had fashioned for his injured leg. The pain was sharp, but he ignored it. Fear, he knew, would slow him more than any injury. Princess Liara had disappeared into the mist, but Aiden could sense her presence. It was as if the forest itself carried her laughter, soft and teasing, drifting through the air like a warning and a challenge all at once. If he survives the night, she had said, Aiden had no choice but to face the trials she promised. The first challenge came without warning. From the darkness ahead, a low growl echoed through the forest. The ground vibrated as a massive creature emerged. Its body was sleek, covered in shimmering scales that reflected the dim light. It had 4 limbs, long claws, and eyes that burned like molten gold. Aiden froze. Most humans would have panicked, but he relied on instinct. He studied the creature quickly, noting its movements. It was fast, but its eyes were focused, and its attacks were predictable if timed correctly. Aiden grabbed a fallen branch and positioned himself behind a thick tree. As the creature lunged, he dodged, rolling to the side and jabbing the branch to distract it. It roared and retreated momentarily, giving Aiden a chance to move deeper into the forest. He knew this was not just a test of strength. It was a test of mind. The forest was alive, and survival required more than brute force. Every trap, every challenge was designed to measure courage, intelligence, and ingenuity. Hours passed. The forest seemed endless, a maze of glowing trees and unseen threats. Aiden scavenged for food, finding strange fruits that pulsed with light. They were edible, he realized, because they smelled sweet and lacked the sharp tang of poison. He drank from small pools of water, careful to filter them through cloth torn from his uniform. Hunger and thirst gnawed at him, but he pressed on. As night deepened, the forest grew colder. Mist rose from the glowing plants, swirling around his legs like ghostly tendrils. Every sound was amplified. The rustle of leaves, the snapping of twigs, the distant cries of creatures hidden in the darkness. Aiden could feel the weight of the forest pressing against him. Fear was a constant companion, but he refused to surrender to it. Then came the illusion. Aiden stumbled into a clearing where the forest appeared calm. The glowing trees bent toward him, and the air was filled with soft, haunting whispers. Shapes began to form in the mist, figures resembling friends, family, and people he had lost long ago. They called his name, beckoning him forward. Aiden's heart raced. His mind screamed that these were illusions, tricks designed to break his focus. But the temptation was strong. His mind longed for comfort, for the warmth of those he had loved and lost. He shook his head, reminding himself of the promise he had made, to survive. Focus. He muttered aloud, "You survive. That is all that matters." He closed his eyes for a moment, breathing deeply, and then opened them again. The illusions flickered and vanished. He had passed the first mental test. His human mind, capable of hope, fear, love, and determination, was his greatest weapon. The next trial was physical. From the treetops, strange vines began to drop, twisting and reaching for him like living snakes. Aiden dodged, but a vine wrapped around his ankle, threatening to pull him to the ground. He used his upper body strength, tugging with all his might, but the vine was relentless. Thinking quickly, he remembered a small knife he kept in his survival pack. He cut through the vine, narrowly avoiding a second one that struck at his shoulder. Sweat poured down his face, his muscles ached, and every movement demanded focus. But humans, he realized, had an advantage: adaptability. While aliens relied heavily on their technology and inherent abilities, humans could improvise, invent, and act unpredictably. Hours melted into a long, tense night. Aiden encountered predators, navigated treacherous terrain, and solved the forest's puzzles using his wits. He made crude traps to protect his temporary shelters, and he learned to read the subtle signs of the forest, the snapping of twigs, the whisper of leaves, and the faint bioluminescent trails left by creatures. At one point, a massive predator, larger than anything he had faced before, charged from the darkness. Its roar shook the ground, and its claws glinted in the faint light. Aiden ran, sprinting through the forest despite his injured leg. He ducked into a dense thicket, weaving between glowing trees, using every ounce of human agility and cunning. The creature swiped at him, missing narrowly, and finally gave up, disappearing back into the shadows. Aiden collapsed against a tree, gasping for breath. His chest burned, his muscles trembled, but he could not stop. He could feel Princess Liara watching him, her laughter echoing softly through the trees. There was no malice in it, only amusement and fascination. "This is what it means to be human," he muttered, clutching his side. To fight, to endure, to survive against impossible odds. Time became a blur. The forest tested him at every turn. Strange plants released spores that made him see false paths. Predatory creatures stalked him silently. The terrain shifted unpredictably, as if the forest itself was alive and intent on challenging him. But Aiden adapted. He learned the patterns, studied the creatures, and used the environment to his advantage. Every step was careful but determined. Every decision could mean life or death, and he refused to fail. Around midnight, he found a small cave nestled under a glowing cliff. Exhausted, he crawled inside. The cave offered shelter from predators, and he could rest for a brief moment. He cleaned his wounds as best as he could, using water and makeshift bandages. Even in this temporary safety, he remained vigilant. Aiden knew that the night was not over, and the challenges would continue until the first light of dawn. He thought of Liara's words. "If he survives the night, I will consider him worthy." The words echoed in his mind, not as a threat, but as a promise. Humans had a peculiar strength, one that could not be measured by size, speed, or technology alone. It was endurance, courage, and the will to continue despite pain, fear, or uncertainty. Aiden felt that strength within himself now, glowing brighter than the alien lights outside. Hours passed in tense silence. He dozed lightly, alert to every sound. The forest seemed almost respectful of his determination. He moved carefully, conserving energy while remaining ready for sudden danger. As the first faint light of the planet's twin moons touched the forest, a figure appeared at the cave's entrance. Princess Liara, glowing faintly, watched him with a mixture of amusement and admiration. "You have done well, human," she said softly. "Many would have fallen by now. But you endure. You survive not because you are stronger than the forest, but because your mind and spirit refuse to give in." Aiden rose slowly, wincing at the pain in his leg. "I told you. I survive." Liara smiled, a soft, mysterious smile that hinted at both challenge and approval. "The night is not yet over. More trials await, but you have proven something essential. You are not ordinary, you are remarkable." Aiden nodded. Exhaustion weighed heavily on him, but a spark of pride warmed his chest. Humanity had always been underestimated across the galaxy, and here, on this alien world, he had shown what a human could do. And somewhere in the glowing mist of the forest, Princess Liara laughed again, softly, intrigued, and full of promise. The night was far from over, but Aiden Cross, human explorer, survivor, and relentless fighter, had proven that he could face the unimaginable and live. He would survive the night. He would endure, and he would prove, not just to Liara but to the galaxy, that humans were capable of greatness beyond any measure. The forest began to change as dawn approached. The bioluminescent glow faded into soft shades of violet and green. Strange mist drifted among the trees, creating patterns that danced in the morning light. Aiden Cross, exhausted from the night's trials, knew his journey was far from over. He had survived predators, illusions, and the forest's shifting terrain, but something deeper awaited. As he limped through a narrow path between glowing trees, a low growl made him freeze. From the shadows, a creature emerged. It was unlike anything he had faced before. Larger than a human, with a long, sleek body covered in scales that shimmered like liquid silver. Its eyes were intelligent, gleaming with curiosity rather than mere hunger. Aiden instinctively reached for his knife, but the creature did not attack. Instead, it studied him, tilting its head as if weighing his intentions. "Easy," Aiden said softly, keeping his hands visible. "I'm not your enemy." The creature's gaze lingered on him. Its body language shifted, relaxing slightly. Aiden noticed small scars along its scales, evidence of battles or survival struggles. Perhaps, he thought, this creature respected strength like humans did. He spoke again, quietly. "I don't know your kind, but I only want to survive. Can we help each other?" The creature blinked, then stepped closer. Slowly, it bowed its head, a gesture of acceptance. Aiden smiled, realizing he had found an unexpected ally. Humans had always thrived through relationships, through trust and cooperation. This was another reminder that even in alien worlds, humanity had unique strengths. He named the creature Klin, after a word he remembered from old Earth myths meaning guardian. Klin followed him silently, moving through the forest with astonishing grace. With the creature's help, Aiden's pace increased. Klin could sense hidden dangers, alerting him before predators attacked. Together, they formed a small but effective team. As the day wore on, Aiden encountered another trial. The forest seemed to close in around him, trees bent in impossible angles forming natural mazes. The ground shifted slightly beneath his feet, and strange sounds echoed from all directions. It was as though the forest itself was testing him, pushing him to his limits. Liara appeared again, floating above the path on a small platform of light. "You are stronger than I expected," she said, her voice carrying amusement and curiosity. Most humans would have succumbed to fear, confusion, or exhaustion. You endure." Aiden bowed slightly, still cautious. "I have to. I promise to survive." Liara's eyes sparkled with intrigue. "Survival is only part of the test. Intelligence, empathy, and courage are equally important. Tonight you face your greatest challenge yet, but for now, you have earned a small reward." From her hands she released a glowing orb. It hovered in the air, pulsating with soft energy. Aiden instinctively caught it. Instantly, warmth spread through his body, easing his pain and fatigue. His injuries felt less severe, his strength renewed. "Why help me?" he asked cautiously. Liara's lips curved in a teasing smile. "Because I am curious. You are unusual. Most humans lack resilience. Most lack imagination. You have both, and that is worth observing." Aiden nodded, understanding that this was not just about survival. It was about proving the unique qualities of humanity, and he intended to do exactly that. Hours passed as he traveled deeper into the forest. The terrain grew stranger. Plants seemed to move subtly, creating pathways or closing them off. Creatures lurked in shadows, some curious, some hostile, but with Clin's help and his own ingenuity, Aiden navigated the challenges with careful strategy. He laid simple traps to distract predators, used the glowing plants to mark safe paths, and observed the environment with careful attention. At one point, Aiden stumbled upon a river filled with luminescent fish. The current was strong and crossing it was dangerous. He studied the river, looking for patterns. He noticed that some rocks protruded above the water and were stable enough to step on. Using patience and balance, he carefully crossed one step at a time, with Clin guiding him from the other side. Once across, he collapsed briefly, feeling the weight of exhaustion. "Humans survive," he muttered, reminding himself of the lessons he had learned. Strength was not just in muscles or weapons. It was in observation, adaptation, and perseverance. As he moved forward, a strange phenomenon occurred. The mist thickened and glowing symbols appeared on the forest floor. They shifted in patterns, almost like a language. Aiden instinctively knelt, studying them. His mind raced, recalling patterns from human mathematics and logic. Slowly, he deciphered the meaning, a warning about hidden predators ahead. By interpreting the symbols, he avoided a trap laid by the forest's creatures, a pit filled with sharp, crystal-like spikes. Clin's intuition had helped him, but Aiden's mind had completed the solution. Together they had survived once more. Liara appeared again, this time closer, watching silently from a tree branch. "You see?" she said softly. "Even when faced with threats beyond your understanding, you adapt. Humans have a peculiar way of seeing solutions where others only see danger." Aiden looked at her, catching the faint amusement in her eyes. "I have to," he replied. "It's how humans survive." Liara tilted her head, her expression thoughtful. "Indeed, but survival alone does not make you remarkable. Curiosity, empathy, and courage, these are rare traits. You possess all three. That is why I am intrigued." They traveled together, though she remained distant, observing rather than intervening. Aiden began to notice subtle lessons hidden in her challenges. Each trap, each predator, each illusion was designed not just to test survival, but to measure character. And humans, he realized, had an advantage over many alien species. Fear could be controlled, mistakes could be learned from, and determination could overcome seemingly impossible odds. By mid-morning, they reached a clearing dominated by a massive, glowing tree. Its trunk was wide enough to house several creatures, and its branches stretched high into the sky. The forest's trials had led him here. Liara descended from her perch and stepped toward him. "You have done well. Many humans would have failed. Many would have succumbed to fear or fatigue. But you endure, adapt, and think. That is what makes your kind." "Fascinating." Aiden smiled weakly, his energy nearly spent. "I survived the night. I'll survive anything." Liara's eyes glimmered with approval. "Perhaps. But your greatest challenge is yet to come. Here, at this place, you must prove not just your strength, but your heart." From the base of the glowing tree, a small group of alien creatures emerged. They were wild and untrained, aggressive yet intelligent. They blocked the path forward. Aiden knew fighting them head-on would be foolish. Instead, he observed, noting patterns in their movement and behavior. Clin hissed softly, crouching low, ready to assist. Aiden spoke gently to the creatures, using calm tones to project confidence. Then, using simple gestures and careful placement of glowing plants as markers, he guided the creatures away from the path. It was not dominance that won the day, but understanding and strategy, a distinctly human approach. Liara clapped her hands softly. "Impressive," she said. "You do not rely on brute force. You understand, you adapt, you lead. Humans are exceptional." Aiden's chest swelled with quiet pride. This was more than survival. This was recognition, proof that his species could match, and sometimes surpass even the most advanced aliens when it came to ingenuity, courage, and moral strength. As the sun rose, casting warm light through the alien forest, Aiden knew he had changed. The night of trials had tested him physically, mentally, and emotionally. He had proven his resourcefulness, his courage, and his humanity. And he had gained an ally in Clin, a creature whose loyalty he had earned through respect and action. Princess Liara approached him, her smile now warmer, tinged with admiration. "You have done well, human," she said. "Tonight you will rest for tomorrow." New challenges await. But know this, you have earned more than survival. You have earned respect. Aiden nodded, tired but resolute. Then I will continue. I will face whatever comes next. Liara's laughter followed him as he prepared to rest, a soft sound that promised both amusement and challenge. The forest had tested him, but he had passed. Humanity had once again shown its unique strength, courage, adaptability, intelligence, and heart. And somewhere, hidden among the glowing trees and drifting mist, Princess Liara watched, intrigued and impressed by the human who dared to survive, adapt, and prevail where many would have failed. For Aiden Cross, the unexpected alliance with Clin and his own human ingenuity had proven one thing. Even in the most alien of worlds, humans were capable of greatness beyond measure. The forest, still alive with glowing life, seemed to acknowledge this quietly, as if recognizing that a human had walked its paths and endured where others could not. The morning light filtered through the alien forest, painting everything in shades of green and gold. Captain Aiden Cross rose from his rest beside the glowing lake, still exhausted from the night of trials but determined to continue. He had survived predators, illusions, and deadly terrain, and had even formed an alliance with Clin, the strange but loyal creature, yet he knew that the journey ahead was far more dangerous. Princess Liara appeared from the mist, floating effortlessly above the ground, her glowing robes shifting with the soft wind. "You have done well," she said. "But the trials of the forest were only the beginning. The true challenge lies within the capital. There, politics, technology, and ambition will test you in ways the forest never could." Aiden nodded, leaning on Clin for support. "Then we go," he said. Survival had become instinct, and human determination had become his weapon. The path to the alien capital was treacherous. Floating rock formations created precarious bridges over deep chasms, and streams of glowing liquid flowed through the land like molten glass. Aiden carefully navigated, his human balance and instincts guiding him past dangers. Clin moved with uncanny precision, helping him avoid unstable surfaces and alerting him to hidden threats. As they approached the city, the enormity of alien civilization became clear. Towers made of crystal stretched into the sky, shimmering with energy. Hovering vehicles zipped through the air, and creatures of all shapes and sizes moved with purpose. The city was alive with advanced technology and intricate design. Yet for all its beauty, it radiated tension. Aiden could sense the eyes of the inhabitants on him, curious and cautious. Liara guided him to a side entrance away from the main streets. "The city is divided," she explained. "Some see your survival as a threat. Others as a curiosity. Move carefully, human. Trust is scarce here." Aiden's human intuition proved invaluable. He studied the behavior of the alien guards and citizens, noticing small details, the way they paused, the subtle gestures of communication, the patterns in their patrols. Using these observations, he avoided confrontation and navigated deeper into the heart of the city. But danger was inevitable. A group of elite soldiers noticed him and approached. Their weapons glowed with energy and their armor seemed impenetrable. Most humans would have panicked, but Aiden relied on his adaptability. He analyzed the environment, noticing overhead energy lines and reflective surfaces. With Clin's help, he created a distraction using a mirrored panel and a burst of light causing the guards to stumble. Then, moving quickly, he slipped through narrow corridors hidden from view. Liara watched from a distance, her eyes filled with admiration. "Humans are clever," she whispered. "They do not rely solely on power. They adapt, improvise, and find solutions others cannot see." Aiden's journey through the city revealed not only danger but opportunity. He discovered a hidden laboratory where alien scientists were experimenting on a dangerous energy source. Their actions could destabilize the city, even the planet itself. Realizing the threat, Aiden carefully sabotaged the experiment using his understanding of basic engineering and human intuition. The energy source stabilized, preventing disaster. Word of his actions spread quickly. Some citizens began to see him as a hero, a strange human who could think in ways their species did not. Others saw him as a threat, someone who challenged the status quo. Aiden knew that he would need to move quickly to avoid capture, while also protecting those who could not protect themselves. At nightfall, the final challenge of the city approached. A powerful noble, jealous of Liara's attention and fearful of Aiden's influence, sought to capture him. Elite guards surrounded him in a grand plaza, their weapons ready. Aiden's human ingenuity, however, turned the tide. Using simple mechanical knowledge and the environment, he created traps that delayed the soldiers, then used the city's energy network to create illusions and diversions, allowing him and Klin to escape. Liara met him at a quiet overlook, her glowing eyes reflecting pride. "You have done what few could," she said. "You survived the city, outsmarted those who sought to control you, and protected the innocent. You are not just strong, you are remarkable." Aiden looked out over the city, his heart pounding. Humans were underestimated, even in distant galaxies. But tonight he had proven that courage, intelligence, and determination could overcome even the most advanced adversaries. Liara's hand rested lightly on his shoulder. "Rest now," she said softly. "Tomorrow the final trials await. But know this. You have already proven the strength of your kind." Aiden nodded, weary but resolute. "Then I will face them," he replied. "Whatever comes next, I will endure." And as the city slept beneath twin moons, Aiden Cross, human explorer and survivor, knew that humanity's greatest strength was not just survival, but the courage to face impossible odds and triumph. The twin suns rose slowly over the alien capital, casting long, shimmering shadows across the crystal towers. Captain Aiden Cross edge of the royal palace's balcony, surveying the city below. The trials had tested him beyond physical limits, beyond intellect, even beyond instinct. But now, the final chapter awaited. Liara approached, her glowing form ethereal in the morning light. "This is it," she said softly. "The last test, not of strength, not of skill, but of heart. You will face a challenge that decides not just your fate, but the trust and bond we have forged." Aiden nodded. His human mind was focused, his determination unbroken. "I am ready," he said. "Whatever it takes, I will endure." The antagonist, a powerful noble named Virek, had learned of Aiden's survival and growing influence. Virek sought to seize control of the city, believing that the human's cleverness threatened his power. He assembled elite guards and unleashed them across the palace grounds, intending to capture Aiden before he could act. Aiden moved quickly, using his understanding of tactics and strategy. Every human instinct guided him: analyze, adapt, improvise. He avoided the soldiers' patrols, created diversions with simple yet effective devices, and used Klin's unique abilities to aid him. Together they formed a coordinated force that combined human ingenuity with alien strength. As he approached the throne room, he saw Virek waiting, a towering figure of power and arrogance. The noble's weapon glowed with intense energy, capable of immense destruction, but Aiden did not rely on brute strength. Instead, he observed carefully, noting Virek's patterns, the limitations of his weapon, and the environment around him. In a decisive moment, Aiden triggered a mechanism in the palace itself, using energy conduits to create a controlled distraction. Guards stumbled, machinery overloaded, and Virek's focus faltered. Seizing the opportunity, Aiden disarmed the noble, using his agility, intuition, and precision. The palace fell silent. Virek, defeated not by force but by human ingenuity, sank to his knees. Liara stepped forward, her gaze proud and unwavering. "You have done what no one else could," she said. "You did not rely on power. You relied on intelligence, courage, and your heart. That is what makes humans extraordinary." Aiden, exhausted but triumphant, looked at her. "I survived," he said simply. "I did what I had to do." Liara smiled, a warmth in her glowing eyes. "You have earned more than survival, Aiden. You have earned trust, respect, and a bond forged in adversity. The forest, the creatures, the city, all have witnessed the strength of a human spirit." Klin nudged him gently, a reminder that even in alien worlds, loyalty and friendship could be earned through courage and respect. In the days that followed, Aiden's presence transformed the alien capital. Citizens, once wary of humans, began to admire the qualities he displayed: creativity, resilience, and empathy. Liara's trust in him solidified, and together, they worked to stabilize the city and prevent further conflict. Aiden's human spirit, unyielding and adaptable, became a symbol across the galaxy. Stories spread of the human who survived alien forests, outwitted powerful nobles, and forged alliances that no one thought possible. His journey demonstrated the essence of humanity: not superior technology or innate strength, but courage, intelligence, adaptability, and heart. One evening, as the twin suns set and bathed the city in gold and purple light, Liara approached Aiden. "You have proven yourself," she said softly. "I promised that if you survived, I would belong to you in trust and partnership. You have not only survived, you have earned it. And with that, a bond begins." Aiden smiled, humbled yet proud. "Humans endure. That is what we do," he replied. Liara's laughter, soft and melodic, filled the air, a sound that had been with him since the first night in the forest. But now it was not amusement alone. It was respect, admiration, and a recognition of something rare, a human who embodied the best of his species. The forest, the creatures, the city, and Liara herself had tested him in every possible way. And through it all, Aiden Cross had proven that humanity could thrive, even in worlds where humans were thought weak or insignificant. As the stars appeared above the alien sky, he realized that survival was only the beginning. Humanity's true strength lay in courage, creativity, and the ability to inspire trust and loyalty. And in that moment, among alien wonders and allies, Aiden understood that humans could achieve greatness in any corner of the galaxy. The night had ended. The trials were over. And a human had not only survived, they had triumphed, leaving a mark that would be remembered for generations. Aiden looked a